Hey friends, I am so excited to help you guys get excited. Today we're going to be talking about setting goals. I think we definitely need to make sure that when we're going into our new year, we've got some goals set aside for ourselves. Who's got some big goals that maybe is at the forefront of your mind, or maybe you haven't had time to sit down and actually sit down and think about what we want to accomplish for ourselves, for our business, for our families. If you guys are excited about it, let me know. But we're going to be talking about goal setting, and I'm going to be going through some of that. But yeah, let's go ahead and get into setting goals. I know a few things that I like to do when it comes to setting goals for the new year is I like to do before the new year starts, right? The hard part with New Year's like resolutions is the fact that I never seem to keep my New Year's resolutions. I don't know if y'all agree with that, but every time I set a New Year's resolutions, it's like it's gone 3 months in, it's like I ruined it. So I like to just set goals for myself, right? And one of the biggest things that I want to make sure that we do when it comes to setting goals is writing them down, right? You can't have real goals unless you see them in front of you, okay? And every single one of you has the potential to completely annihilate your goals. And if you did make goals the year prior, evaluate those goals, right? If you wrote them down somewhere, take a look at them and see which ones did you overcome? Which ones did you accomplish, right? Which ones did you maybe get close to accomplishing? And here's the deal. If you didn't accomplish any of them, that's okay, because every year gives you that opportunity to just start fresh, right? And another thing that I really want to just mention when it comes to New Year's, don't feel like you need to make this whole transformation, this New Year's resolution, right? Because then you put, to me, this is why I feel like a lot of people that do these things, like you don't get to really accomplish these goals because you end up accidentally putting all this pressure on yourself, right? If you set all of these incredible resolutions of the things that you're not going to do and the things that you are going to do, you end up like putting this pressure on yourself and then feeling like, okay, what if I really don't accomplish these things? I'm really going to be like a failure. So instead of using the words like New Year's resolutions, I haven't used those words in such a long time. I just take a piece of paper, guys, and I write down these personal things that I feel like I want to focus on in the year, right? Because I don't want to disappoint myself. So these are the things that I want to focus on. And hopefully this helps you guys too when it comes to goal setting. Number one, I write down the word personal. So I take out my little piece of paper, right? And I write down personal. What are my personal goals that I have for myself this year, right? Maybe, okay, it could be I want to read more books, right? Maybe I want to read one book a month. Maybe that could be a personal goal. Or another personal goal, maybe I want to overcome some fears that I've had over the last couple years. Maybe it's a fear of going live, or maybe it's a fear of rejection, or a fear of reaching out to people. Maybe I'm in the business where I need to reach out to people. I need to ask people questions in order to progress in my business, right? Maybe it's that fear. So write down those personal goals for yourself. Maybe it's family. Maybe you want to take your family out onto more vacations, right? Maybe you want to have more weekend getaways with your family members. Whatever those goals are personally, write down on that piece of paper, personal. Okay? Just write down the word personal. And then think about those things, right? Think about maybe 2 or 3 things that you feel like this year you're going to focus on those 2 or 3 things. And those are your personal goals. The next thing that I like to write down is health. Right? Health is one of those things that we end up putting on the back burner, but health is the next one, right? What can I do to get myself in a better position or in a better place health-wise? Maybe you want to take more vitamins. Maybe you want to start working out. Maybe you want to start losing some weight. Maybe you want to breathe a little bit easier. You know, whatever those personal health goals that you have for yourself, make those goals and write down, again, 2 to 3. I like to try to keep things simple, but of course, don't be afraid to think outside the box. Don't be afraid to think big, okay? But I just don't like the word New Year's resolutions. Is it just me? I just don't like that word, because every time I set New Year's resolutions, I always break them. But when I make personal goals for myself and I put them in categories, It seems like I can accomplish them like I'm going through a checklist, and I can just go through them one by one, right? Personally, what am I going to do this year? Right? What do I want to do for myself? Health-wise, what do I want to do for my health? Do I want to lose 20 pounds? Do I want to make sure I'm taking vitamins? What is it? What are those personal things that you want for yourself? The next thing that I wrote down is income, right? What do you want to do when it comes to your income? What are your personal income goals? Maybe you want to make an extra $1,000 a month. Maybe you want to make $500 a month. Maybe you want to just be able to pay for, that specific thing in your life that you just don't want to worry about anymore. Maybe you just want to pay groceries every single month. You can make it as little of a goal, right? Or as big of a goal as you want. Everybody's different. Everybody has different personal goals that they want to accomplish. So what are those income goals? And write those things down. Write those 2 to 3 things down. I want to be able to pay for socks. I want to be able to pay for groceries, and I want to be able to pay my car insurance, right? Whatever those things are for yourself, write them down. The next thing that I like to write down is wealth, okay? Is wealth. That's one of the biggest things that me and my husband have talked about over the last few weeks is building wealth. We've got all of these business plans just kind of set. We've got all these relationships that we have in place. And now we're just kind of going with it, right? We're setting those plans in place on once we receive this income, once we start making this income, what can we do to start building wealth, right? Leaving a legacy for our kids or making it to where when we retire, we're set, right? Or having assets or making investments. These are things that you want to think about, right? And start writing those things down. And don't think that, just because you wrote down a beach house, like maybe that's something that's going to help you gain some wealth, right? Maybe you want to invest in a beach house, and maybe that's something that you want to rent out, and you want to get into maybe Airbnb or real estate or wholesaling or things like that. Don't be afraid of writing those things down, guys, okay? And write them down on a yearly basis. Write those things down on a yearly basis so that you can see them in front of you. The next thing is business. What do you want to accomplish for your business specifically? Maybe you want to gain 10 new teammates this year. Maybe you want to get better at recruiting. Maybe you want to get better at, doing lives in your parties. Maybe you want to work on your personal branding, right? What are those things? Somebody said a new car. Absolutely. So when you start writing these goals down, guys, and these are the ones I like to focus on, right? Personal health, income, wealth, business, right? And then you can add one for team, right? What do you want for your team? For those of you that have a downline, what are those personal goals that you would like for your team? Maybe you want to be a better leader. Maybe you want to create leaders, right? Maybe you want to create a better onboarding system. Maybe you want to have more frequent get-togethers and have more frequent calls. It doesn't matter what those goals are, write them down, right? Whatever you felt like you did right, write those things down and highlight yourself. And then whatever those things were that maybe you didn't quite accomplish, or maybe those things that just didn't quite work out as well for you, also write those things down, because it's good. You can't change what you don't acknowledge, right? Dr. Phil. I really like to quote Dr. Phil. You can't change what you don't acknowledge. So if you can sit down and take a look at those things in front of you, then you can start placing those things that you want to work on and placing them under those categories and make those maybe those personal goals for yourself. So write those things down, guys. I know I'm really old school with the pen on paper thing, but I really think that that's such an effective way to track your progress. It's such an effective way to look back and just self-reflect and think about some of those things that worked out really well and be okay with congratulating yourself and giving yourself a pat in the back. And then focusing on those other things that maybe just didn't work out as well as you wanted them to. But you can't grow unless you acknowledge both, right? You just can't grow. How do you grow from there? How do you grow if you're in denial? Can't be in denial. Okay. And I'm sorry if I'm struggling to talk a little bit. I'm still a little bit sick. But I'm just kind of working through it. But yeah, personal health, income, wealth, and business, and then add something for team, right? For those of you that want to build a team. So evaluate last year's goals, right? So if you did goal setting last year, what were those goals? And go back and just kind of look at it. Look at some of those things that you wrote down for yourself and go through and evaluate which one of these things did I accomplish and which ones did I not. And if you didn't accomplish any of them, like I said, give yourself a pat on the back. It's totally okay, because we are advancing every single day, even if it doesn't feel like it. Every time that you log onto your phone, every time that you make the effort in your business, every time that you reach out to somebody, you start a conversation, you watch a live training, every time that you put an effort into your business, there's some kind of growth that is happening. Okay. And it's just up to you to continue that growth. I just can't do digital when it comes to that stuff. Me neither, because when you write things down, it helps to just kind of with that retention, right? It helps you remember. It helps you solidify what those things that you wrote down are, right? And then you can see them in front of you. Write them on Post-it notes. Put them in your mirror when you're getting ready in the morning, right? So those are my tips when it comes to creating your goals. Write down those categories, and I would suggest 2 to 3 things per category. And then evaluate your last year's goals. Find out what didn't work, what did, and highlight and celebrate yourself. And then make sure that you have them in front of you to where you can see them, right? But here's the next part, right? We can talk about goal setting and writing those things down and having those categories set out and figuring out like what worked and what didn't. But the next part is creating the plan to reach those goals. You have to create a plan for yourself. If you're saying, let's say one of your personal goals is to read more books, right? Maybe that's a small goal. And I'm gonna talk about small goals. I'm gonna talk about big goals. Okay. So let's say a small goal is to read books. Okay. Maybe you're just like, I need to work on self-development. I want to work on my mindset. I want to work on helping myself get further along in my business and personally and growing confidence in myself. And in order to do that, I know that I can gain that by working on personal development. And one of those personal development things is reading more books, right? I like Mel Robbins. So this is a book that I picked up. And here is a journal that I picked up that goes along with it. Okay. This is an amazing little set, by the way. If you're wanting to start new routines and getting your head in the right place, this set right here, you can get it on Amazon. Absolutely love it. But let's talk about those small goals. If you want to read a little bit more, what are those actionable steps that you can make in order to make sure that you accomplish that goal? Because it's one thing to just aimlessly write down, I want to make $1 million next year, right? It's one thing to say that. The next thing is, if you don't have a plan or an idea or a roadmap on how to get there, then there's no sense of writing those goals down. Because what happens when we write down goals every year, we make those New Year's resolutions and we don't accomplish them. It's because we don't have a pathway. We don't create that pathway for ourselves. So when we don't create that pathway for ourselves, how can we do that? How can we accomplish those things? Right? So let's start off that way. If you want to read more books, then commit. Okay, I want to read one book every single month. What's my actionable plan to make sure that I do that? After work, after the kids are in bed, and an hour before I go to bed, I'm going to read for 30 minutes. There's an actionable plan that you can make for yourself. I'm going to read for 30 minutes. That's just a very small example, guys. Let's move on to another example, right? Maybe it's health. Maybe you're wanting to lose weight. Maybe you want to get healthier. Maybe you want to have more energy, right? Maybe that's what you need in order to stay motivated to work your business. Okay, so what are those actionable steps? Number 1, taking vitamins, right? This is just an example, right? These are small goal examples. Taking vitamins every day. I'm going to commit to take a vitamin every day. So what's that actionable step that you can do for yourself? Setting reminders on your phone, right? I'm going to set a reminder at 7 a.m. every day when I wake up. I'm going to take my vitamin. And y'all, this sounds silly because it's so simple, but there's so many of us, and y'all can attest to this in the comments. How many times have you made goals for yourself and you just did not accomplish them? Something came along and said, you're not going to do this, right? Or something came along and just crushed you. Something just took you off the road. Something took you off the map. Something prevented you from continuing on. Maybe you got demotivated. Maybe something happened in your life. Maybe the timing, something happened in your life to where you just could not continue on. You got to create those actionable steps for every single goal. If you're talking about creating an income, right? We're in the Simply Sustainable Academy where you can create a dependable income. How are you going to do that? What are those income producing activities that you can do on a daily basis to help you improve your income? Maybe it's creating a tracker for yourself, wink, wink. Maybe it's making sure that you do 3 IPAs a day. Every single day, I'm going to work on 3 income producing activities every single day. Maybe it's posting a reel. Maybe it's starting a new conversation with somebody, right? Or maybe it's doing a sales post in your stories. Just one. Do you think if you were talking more about your products, that more people would probably ask you about your products? Do you think if you were showing your face more people would probably interact with you? Do you think if you're posting reels more often or posting a video that you will probably get in front of more people that you don't know? Absolutely. That's why those things are called income producing activities, right? Maybe a goal is for you to just generate more leads every month. Maybe you want to have more hostesses every month. So how are you going to do it? You got to be able to make those actionable steps that's going to encourage you to get in front of people that become your hostesses, right? So how do you do that? Maybe every day you're going to ask one person if they want to host a party. Maybe, every week you're going to do some kind of booking thing. Maybe you're going to talk about some sort of incentive in your stories. Maybe you're going to go live and play a booking game. Every week you're going to do something different. But here's the thing, guys, like I mentioned, every single category of these goals that you're making for yourself has to be a goal with actionable steps behind it. And the actual steps are non-negotiable things that you're going to commit yourself to do. Whether you have to set a reminder on your phone, whether you have to write them down on Post-it notes, doesn't matter what it is that you got to do. You have to do that for yourself. Right? You got to be able to put that in front of you so that you can start attacking them one by one, little by little, action by action. Guys, that's all I have for y'all. Make those goals for yourself and put them in those categories. Write them down and make them a focus. But make those goals for yourself. And my main message for you is when you make them, put them in those categories and make sure that you go through and you make those actionable steps for yourself. Because I want you guys to accomplish your goals, no matter how big they are, right? No matter how big goals you have set for yourself, make sure that you set those actionable items behind them. Because if you can make baby steps towards those bigger steps, right? Until you finally make it into the mansion, it makes it so much easier. And when you start to see yourself accomplishing those goals one by one, then you can start making bigger goals from there. You're going to feel so much better about yourself. You're going to feel more confident, right? This is where the real growth happens. When you start making those short-term, small, attainable goals in order to reach those bigger long-term goals. It just becomes this amazing mindset shift in your head when you can start seeing it. And then when you see it, you believe it. When you experience it, you believe it. Okay? So that's my main message for you guys. That's your homework. All of y'all have homework, and that's what it is. It could change your life. If you do it, it could change your life. Okay? All right, guys. Thank you guys so much for hopping on. I will see you guys later. See y'all later. Bye, y'all.